Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Hey, Texas investors, hope you had a great weekend. We are off to a great start here, and we've got a great guest today to tell you what they're seeing in the Houston real estate market. My friend here, who we'll meet in just a second, she's got over 40 years of real estate experience, so she knows the market probably better than the back of her hand. Probably the better than back of her husband's hand. I know she's probably had to slap him around a little bit to keep him in line, as if I know Dickie and everything. But who am I talking about? I'm talking about Belinda Baldwin. She is a realtor, like I said, with over 4 decades of experience in Houston and Montgomery County, Texas. She's a agent with the David Brown Properties. Belinda, how's it going this morning? You doing all right today?
We're great here. The weather's beautiful.
Yeah, this is like, as they say, is Chamber of Commerce weather. It's not too hot. I had a friend who messaged me from Alabama who came and spent a couple days in Houston earlier in the summer. He goes, I'm used to humidity living in Alabama, but this is, walking outside like you got a wet blanket, but this feels like the wet blanket's on fire. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Exactly.
And it was just last week.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It definitely was a hot one, but we've got some really nice weather, the cool front rolling in and stuff like that. But let's dive into because folks are wondering what is going on with the Houston market. Is it picking up? Is it going down? Is it slow as you can go? Where are you kind of seeing things with your experience, obviously?
Well, it seems that there's a lot for sale. People are wanting to sell, but the buyers aren't exactly matching up. We have lookers, but it's not ever exactly the perfect thing. So I don't know if it's just the interest or if it's market or if it's the actual properties, but it's hard to tell.
Right. Do you think people have gotten spoiled on low interest rates, obviously, and were able to afford a $600,000 house, and now they got to be down to that $300,000, $4,000 range because interest rates are twice what they used to be?
I think it is, but there again, as you said, I've been doing this 40 years and the interest rates we have now are not what I would call out of exorbitant because I had a 16% interest rate. So there you go.
Yeah, my mom and dad down in Corpus when they bought their first uh, house done, it was at like 18. That was
Yeah.
actually the first ever loan I did when I was a mortgage broker, was actually refinancing them out of their house, into a 7% rate. And of course, that was 30 years ago most, but I think back even to like when I had the mortgage company back even as late as 2008, 2009, 6%, 7% was a damn good rate,
Yeah. And I, people should jump on it, actually.
Well, that's right, because real estate, we all know. Yes, I think we've seen a little bit of correction, and I'll ask your thoughts on what you're seeing the market doing. But in Texas, we've been pretty blessed. Real estate continues to kind of keep creeping up, keep going up in a lot of cases, right?
Yeah, it does. It does. And people want to live here. I mean, we're seeing, it's not lack of clients, it's just putting them together with the right property at the right time. And no, Texas is booming in considerate of other states, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. I mean, what goes on in Harris County and the Houston market really sets a tone for a lot what goes on in Texas. I mean, Houston, compared to especially to Austin, I think is still a lot more affordable um, on an average basis. I mean, Austin, I think is so overpriced living here for years. When I look at other property down there, I'm like, man, I could get that. I should move to Houston. Except I don't want all the humidity. I like living in Central Texas a little bit.
Exactly.
But you're seeing too some different areas kind of grow. Where if you look at Houston, where is the growth kind of moving? Is it moving out like the Montgomery County out in Spring in that area? Is it moving more to
Yeah,
Beaumont?
Montgomery County,
Yeah.
which is literally just, you don't even know you're leaving Harris County to get into Montgomery County. We're just north of the Woodlands, and they are partially in Montgomery County and partially in Harris County. And there are neighborhoods every day. I see a new billboard, and they're just going further north. Little tiny Huntsville, which was just a little tiny college town, is booming and huge, and it's getting crazy. And the traffic on 45 is worse, but people want to be here, and it's just putting them together. And we've got big inventory. I mean, from expensive to affordable, but I don't know how. I don't know how everybody finds us to the beginning, except they start somewhere. But I would love to have some sales. I've got some listings and I would like for somebody, and people have looked, but there's just always some quirk to it that they don't care for. But I guess they have to see everything first before they make a final decision, which happens often.
It happens definitely often. I remember we went and looked at like 20 houses when we bought our first house and ended up going back to the third one we looked at. On that
And
one.
luckily it was still there.
Yeah, exactly. These days, you get around by the time it may not be there in a lot of cases. Now, um, if there is any movement going on, is it that really that first time home buyer, that $400,000 below market in a lot of cases, or are you even seeing it being stagnant in that price range a lot of times?
Um, I don't deal with a lot of first-time home
Okay.
buyers anymore. I have a lot more that are moving or downsizing, or either their family's growing or they're just new to the area, in general. But yeah, we don't, I don't deal with a lot of first-time home buyers. That used to be the heaviest market, of course, but now it seems like everybody's tried to get into it at some point. And now they're figuring out they should have done something else or something like that. A lot of people are aging and downsizing too. So that's more of a market that's available. I have several clients in that scenario, and it's very hard for them to downsize and pay the prices for it that they, paid for their big house that they're letting go of. So that makes a difference too. It's like, why do I want to give that up if I'm going to get something so small that I feel like I can't put all my stuff in there? So
Right. Or it's at the same
yeah,
price
yeah, the
point.
same price. That's what I'm saying. If they got to pay the same price for something smaller, they're thinking, am I really wanting to do that?
Hmm.
But I do have families that are moving in closer to their kids because they're aging. And so I understand that. I may be there. My day may come soon.
Well, the great thing about it is that if you are a buyer, it's kind of a buyer's market, stuff like
Mhm.
that.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna see interest rates go down a little bit. I don't think we'll ever see it 2-3% again for a while. And by a while, I
no,
mean 10, 20 years, who knows if ever. But that's the thing is I think the great thing is if you're looking to buy a home in that area, it's going to appreciate. That whole, what do we say, the golden triangle of Texas
yeah,
falls
it
right in
is.
there.
It
And
does. It will appreciate quicker than they think.
Mhm.
Because the taxes, of course, are going up, and because of the values, and appraisals are a problem sometimes too, you know. Um, Luckily, if they get a good deal on a contract and it appraises for more, they're happy,
Mhm.
but yet then they got to pay the bigger taxes. So
Well,
it's
we're
a
going to
catch.
take it one way or another here.
Exactly.
Either
But
in
no, two or
it.
3%. I've worked with young couples and told them, I said, I don't think I saw 2 or 3%, but maybe once in my lifetime. And I said, if you've missed it, you may not see it again. You might as well just go with the 5 or 6%, because that's
Mhm.
that's a livable amount in the long run.
Mhm. And
And
that's the thing. If you two, what do they say? Marry the property, date the rate, right?
exactly. Yeah, they can always refinance if it were to bottom out.
Hmm. And there are also too a lot of builders in Houston too that are offering kind of buy downs and a lot of reduced rates because they're the mortgage company as well as being the builder too, right?
Yes, and I explained that to the buyers too, because I've had a few experiences with some of them that they buy in a new neighborhood up here, and the tax rates when they close are minimal. But then once the property gets built out, it jumped. And I had one client that her house payment went up $500 a month. And I had explained it to them, but they don't understand it. And so I try to always get down to the nitty gritty as to what's the most important to you, you know, your house payment staying at that level, or just being able to walk away or sell it when you want to. Because that is
Hmm.
a problem. Because the new construction is real tricky. It really lures them in with all the freebies, and oh, you're going to get this and you're going to get that, and then they are thrilled, but then when that house payment jumps up, they're like, we can't afford this anymore, and that's a
Well, that's why
problem.
we, yeah, that's why we see I'm sorry, FHA mortgages at over 10% default rate across the country. It's just not
Yeah.
here in Texas with that. That's the number one concern buying a new build home is it ain't just a lot you're paying taxes on anymore, you
No,
know?
and that's a catch 22. And
Yeah.
I feel so bad for people that just walk in and talk to a sales agent and doesn't know the background.
Hmm.
And yeah, I've been burned on that too. So there you go.
I'm sure. I'm sure. Now let's talk about another thing that the Houston area is struggling with in property taxes. I'm not property taxes. I'm sorry, insurance being expensive there because of our good water, our waterworks with our hurricane system there, right?
Well, yeah, I actually, where I am, when we opened our dam, that's what flooded Kingwood in the big storm of, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years ago. And yeah, it's tricky now. They've done a lot of work, both of Lake Houston and Lake Conroe, and they've done a lot of work to prevent that, but it can happen anywhere at any time. And yeah, people are concerned about that. Matter of fact, I have a listing this morning in Conroe, and I had two agents reach out and say, has it ever flooded? And I said, not to my knowledge, not that location. And but it can. There's just it's crazy when they start building. Some of these places have a capacity to flood, and people
Hmm.
don't ask a lot of the right questions.
Yeah.
So
It's all about asking the right questions there.
they go in and it's so pretty and beautiful and they can see themselves living there, and that's all that matters.
And then they end up with
It-
a waterfront view.
yeah. Exactly. With a boat, you have to get in and out of.
Uh-huh. Now, you've been around a little while. I mean, you started selling real estate when you were 3 years old,
Yeah,
obviously,
exactly.
and what's been the biggest surprise? You've been through a couple trends, ups and downs, stuff like that. What's been the biggest surprise that you've seen in the Houston market since you started?
Well, when I actually grew up in Houston, it was a small town,
Yeah.
and I tell everybody, I said I was driving in Houston before there were freeways, which is impossible to imagine. But it's like the people and the neighborhoods, and like I grew up in certain areas, and then it went in a down slump, and then now it's like the mega. Everybody wants to live there, and I'm thinking, wish I'd have held on to that house,
Yeah.
but no, it's just the people and the massive amount of people. I mean, it's just you can't go anywhere anymore without being in a traffic jam. And but they're selling. I mean, those houses and new neighborhoods right next door to them will sell. It's just amazing. People are just flooding Texas, and which is a good thing for us as real estate agents. But it's just kind of overwhelming too. And yeah, and the internet and everything makes it just, and some people get what they see on the internet and some people don't. So
Well, that was gonna be my next question. Besides folks that grown up there in the state, where are you seeing an influx? Obviously, are we still seeing stuff from people from California moving, people from the East Coast, New York? Where do you place your thumb on the pulse of um, people coming into the
I
Lone Star State?
I think it's still coming mostly from California or Nevada or some of those areas. But I really can't say. A lot of people are moving here because their kids had moved here and they live here. And but and some people just have a house here and then they have a house somewhere else
Yeah.
because of the weather changes. But yeah, it's a it's just huge. Houston's just booming and everything surrounding it because the little towns that you hardly ever heard of are, very busy. Everybody's got a Walmart everywhere, and it's because they're preparing for everything.
Yeah,
So
Walmart or more Bucky's showing
yeah.
up,
Yeah, and Bucky's. I wish I'd have thought of that.
or put options on all the land around the Bucky's at least.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
But you've seen that. You've seen the growth of the communities. I mean, like you said, you used to drive when there was no interstates. Now it still takes you, you've got interstates all over the place, toll roads, stuff like that to get anywhere around Houston. But it's just the growth of it, out exponential growth. I mean, it's just, I think they've done a better job with the exterior growth around central Houston to fill in versus like cities like Austin, who just put a blind eye to the growth, and San Antonio, who's kind of limit themselves with inner and outer stuff. But um, that's the thing. Where are you seeing? And let's take a look at maybe the last 12 months a little bit here. And if you don't know the numbers, you don't know the numbers, that's fine. But where do you see like inventory? Has it gone from where it was like, I know here in Austin it was like 3 weeks of inventory. Now we're at 7 months of inventory. You know,
Yeah,
what?
that's what I'm saying. I mean, things are not moving
Yeah,
off the market. They're coming on, but
yeah.
it's just, I think I was looking today, I think we've got like 40 something for sale in our neighborhood.
Wow.
And a lot of them are over 100 days. And, that wasn't necessarily the case. Um, and so it's kind of scratching your head trying to figure out what is it that makes the house at that corner versus the other corner that, sold. And everybody seems to be looking for very similar things, that um, everybody wants a view of some sort. They just don't want to look through the neighbor's fence, and stuff like that. So that's kind of, I think people are figuring out if I'm going to make another move, I want it to be the last one, type thing. And even the young uh, buyers, they're thinking longer term, I think. They don't think of it as a starter home like I did, So
Well,
when
I think they need to think more of it being a starter home versus a forever home. I think, you know, the
maybe,
the coffee barista and the aluminum can recycler being able to afford a $500,000 house like they do on Flip This House or House
oh, I
Buyers
know. Yeah.
isn't realistic these days.
No, none of that's realistic, but you have to tell the people that and they have to figure it out their own. But yeah, I mean, when I bought my first house, it was a two-bedroom,
Mhm.
uh, two bath, but it was a matchbox, and I knew I didn't have kids, so it was like I wasn't gonna, but then once kids started, you got out of there and got another house. But now I mean, all my kids and their friends all bought a big house right off the bat,
Mhm.
and I'm like, okay, well, you must be gonna stay.
Well, but that's also too kind of the outer part of Houston. You can actually buy something that's got a
Yes.
decent lot and not like just on top of each other with zero lot lines too.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And that is part of the Houston growth market. I can tell you that for sure, because um in the demand area of Houston, the Heights and Northwest Houston and stuff like that, even Sharpstown, the lots were so much bigger then. People are buying those houses just because of the lot and the location, and they don't have a neighbor 6 feet apart, and they're knocking them down and building these McMansions on top of these houses. I sold one, it was a 1,400 square foot house. I think they paid $7,000 on the GI Bill when they bought it in 1950 something. It was my friend's parents, and um, we sold it for a very good price for the lot because the house wasn't valuable, but it sat for 3 years until they came in, and now they've built this huge multi-story house on its 3 stories. I think it's crazy in our neighborhood, and everybody just had modest houses when we grew up there, but now it's like this huge. It looks like River Oaks. I mean, it's just big money, and it's a booming area because it's still close to downtown, and everybody wants to go to downtown and do all that stuff. And I'm thinking, no, been there, done that. I'm good.
Well, Houston has always gotten kind of the bad rap that there's no zoning in a lot of cases. You'll have a nice house next to a mobile home in some cases, and
It's
but
not quite, yeah, it's
it's
not
not
quite
like
like
that
that
exactly.
anymore.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You have to know, and that's the nice thing with a lot of the growth going on. You don't see that. You've got building requirements and limitations and guidelines for builders out that neck of the woods, so you don't end up with the mobile home
Yeah.
next to the ranchita. You know.
Yeah, and but that still holds true in the country up here in
Yeah.
different areas. But most of the country and most of the property that's been vacant for years and years, I've been up here 25 and lived about 10, not too far from here. All that farmland's gone. It's being mowed down. And it's like the roads can't even take all the traffic up here. They can't widen them fast enough. So yeah, it's a boom. I mean, somebody's
Yeah,
buying.
yeah, I was very surprised how much traffic when we came out and saw you guys at the holidays there, uh, going through some of the back roads and stuff like that. How busy they were. It
Yeah,
used to be you'd be able to drive. You see, now you're in, now you're 5, 6 deep waiting on a slow person to you turn off that 2 lane road so you can go past them. You know,
I know. When I first moved out there, not too far from where you came to visit at our son's house, um, there was nothing out there. It was in the middle of nowhere. It was a brand new subdivision, and we moved out there. There was not even a grocery store anywhere near. And now 290 was not even there. It was still Highway 6, 2 lane, and now it's like 8 lane highway to Austin, straight shot. And I'm just like, I don't even want to go in anymore. I
no,
stay up
no,
here.
I don't blame you. Now,
No.
do you work with also investors too as well, correct?
Yes.
And I know the numbers show that Harris County has seen a trickle up in foreclosures and stuff like that. For those folks that are rehabbing properties, based on what you said, are you recommended they take the extra money if it's in their budget to update it a little bit nicer, with a little nicer features to more of that wow factor?
Yes, because so many people think they can do it themselves. They're going to buy it and do it, and then it's going to sit there. I have that happen to quite a few that I've shown to people that it's like, just because the formica's gone and there's a piece of slab of some kind of something is there, doesn't make it better. The cabinets are still the same or something like that. I have a lot of investors that reach out to me daily and say, do you have any fixer uppers? And, I no, I don't, because I've got people that will do that that'll do it. And I have two or three contractors that I work with. I'm their agent, and they've done two or three in this area, and they're always looking for more lots, and so it's keeping me busy, which I appreciate. And
Sure.
they're doing a very good job on their updates, but not everybody does that. It's hard. And those fix and flips, they're not like they are on TV, but everybody thinks they are.
Yeah. Can of paint and some carpet, that's all you need, or put a
Yeah,
little duct tape on that hole in the sheetrock.
exactly. Exactly. Absolutely.
What are some things that besides obviously property taxes being higher right there and insurance are some other things that maybe people moving to Houston don't realize? Would it be mold? Do you have any foundation issues in different parts of the area out there? What's some things that pop up from time to time that you got to keep in mind?
Well, yeah, foundation issues, of course, are related a lot to the lake if you're near water. But luckily, most of the properties that I deal in are pretty secure. But there's always a few that were built in the early 70s that were not built so well. And you really do need to basically tear them down to even past the studs. You're going to have to redo them. But guys don't want to do that. They want to just put lipstick on it and call it a day. And they sit on the market until somebody comes along and wants to just falls in love with the location or whatever. But yeah, and that we have such a variety of architecture in this area because it was right in the boom of the early 70s, and we had these quirky contemporary properties that everybody's going, what the heck is that? And there's one on a street over here that I showed to some clients, and it was like you had to go up 15 steps to get to the front door, and then you go in and down 4 steps and all this other, and there's little bitty rooms, and I don't know how you could even support it to rearrange the rooms because the roofs are cattywampus and all that contemporary. And so yeah, it's a interesting property issue up here for that. And I know that's a lot in Houston too, because
Yeah.
where I lived in Houston, we built one of those contemporary ones with the angled roof and all that. And my ex-husband still lives there, but they've had to do some maintenance and some changes in it because it was a step down here and a step up there. And now they're older too, and they can't take a chance of falling. So
Hmm. Those multi-level homes,
yes, yes,
that's always where you walking in and walking down immediately versus or walking up. That's always is a little bit of a shock versus just
Yeah,
walking in, to a
yeah,
living room or kitchen, stuff like that. Now, you're seeing, I'm sure you're also seeing some folks. We talk about California folks moving out here, buying more like multi-acreage kind of homes, bigger bang for the buck, paying half what they would, or a third of what they pay out in
yeah,
California and having more of it, right?
yeah. Oh yeah, they can't believe it most of the time. And it's like, well, if you read the paper, you'd know that, but no, it's a lot of people that just can't afford the taxes and the upkeep and this the increase in cost of living. They
Hmm.
come out here. That's what I'm saying. It comes from all directions though,
Yeah.
because Florida's not cheap either.
No,
So
but it's funny seeing what the DeSantis is talking about removing property taxes on a homestead out there. That'll
uh,
be interesting to see.
yeah, well, I'd like for the seniors to get a break. That would be
Right?
great.
Yes, ma'am. That is so true out there. Now, you mentioned working with, you got some different contractors. Are your contractors having a pretty easy time staying busy, or they are also looking and scrambling for work in a lot of cases out there?
Now there's the ones I'm working with are staying busy, but they are having trouble finding land for just a small project. One of them is actually going to start, they're looking for some property in order to build a barn dominium type scenario. Um, because there's so many people that want to work from home
Mhm.
and they do different businesses and so yeah, that's always something. But the land here, and that's what I'm saying, around in this general area is doesn't have many more years to be sold because the big parcels have been sold to big mega subdivisions, and I avoid the roads that they're being built off of because they are literally two-lane roads. And I sat in a long line of traffic the other day just trying to get from one red light to the other. So yeah, it's booming, and they're building this big little Mac mansions, and they're all sold out before they're finished building, and so it is big and messy,
Hmm.
but
Are you talking stuff that's a parcel's an acre or greater or a quarter acre
oh,
over
much
acre?
greater than
Much
that.
greater.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's huge subdivisions that have been built. Um, well, 249 or 149 was a dirt road when we
Yep.
moved up here, and now it's a thoroughfare, and it's got its own easy tag freeway now. It comes out of College Station and it goes all the way into Houston, and all along there they've built multiple subdivisions in there with big houses and lots of people, but just one or two roads in and out.
Hmm.
And the high schools can't handle the kids. It's just really it's very busy here. And
Yeah, I was amazed at the growth of the different high schools, the big 5A, the big 6As. It won't
yeah,
be too long before Texas has 7As, I think, in some of these
well,
areas.
our daughter works at the Waller High School, and it's the largest high school in the state of Texas,
Yeah.
building wise, square footage wise. And she said they've gotten so many more kids this year than ever before. And so yeah, it's crazy.
Hmm.
But I mean, it is what it is.
Hmm.
We're happy to have the business, but it's just there's so many realtors that you really can't, it's hard to focus too far away from your
Your
core.
local area. Well, but
Yeah.
we all know too that over half the realtors in Texas alone sold one or less properties last year. They have the license, but they're not necessarily doing it. And
That's true.
a lot of people have left that niche because they don't know how to market. They don't have the track record or the referral business too in a lot of
Yes,
cases.
that's true. That's true. Um,
We saw that here in Austin. We had like 12,000 plus realtors, and now it's down to about 6,000. It's
yeah,
kind of not
I
quite like it
have,
was the drop off in 2009, but it kind of is kind of close to that.
yeah, one of my best friends is in Austin. She's done very well. She's very successful there, but she says it's been really, really tough
Hmm.
recently. And she works 24/7. I don't work 24/7. I can't afford to. I've got much going on here. So I
Now,
try.
do we saw, I'll give you an example. I've got a friend that lived out there, and he was told as realtor a lot of times, hey, you're going to bring above closing. You're going to bring 10% above listing or 20% above or 50K above. You're not having to see that these days, pretty much,
No,
aren't you?
no, not now. And people are being pretty reasonable in the deals that I've been working on. That I mean, you either know whether you should offer a few thousand over asking if you want the deal, or you know whether or not you could ask for a give them a lower ball price, not low ball. So nobody's taking low ball offers. Even the bad ones aren't taking them. But yeah, it's not like it used to be, like it
Hmm.
was for a while in COVID and all that, where people were just giving crazy, I'll pay you this cash. I had an agent that had one in the house. They just somebody walked in and said, I'm gonna give you X dollars over cash. And then, but it was kind of a ploy. And once they got into the inspections and all the other stuff, then the kept chipping away. So yeah. And I'm not,
Win the bid and then bring it back down there. That's not a good way to do business in a lot of cases.
no, I don't do that. I don't do that. I can't. I'm too honest.
Wait a second. An honest realtor there? Come on now. That's a unicorn. That's a beautiful
No.
unicorn.
Well, that would be me.
There you go. There you go. So when you're looking to buy that neck of the woods, come an idea of what you really want, what you look for. Obviously, a pre-approval or plenty of cash to put down and be willing to pull the trigger quicker than what you would probably expect other places, so that you find that when you find the right property, jump on it, right?
Yeah, take it when you see it. Don't think about it too long, because somebody else is gonna, once you put it out there, everybody starts looking at it. So,
Hmm.
and I try to tell them that, and they're like, well, but what about? And I said, well, you could do this or this, and then they, okay, well, we'll think about it. And then I go, sorry, it's gone.
Hmm. Are
They
you
had
seeing more
five
sellers?
offers.
Oh, you're right, right. Are you seeing more sellers increasing realtor commission to try to incentivize views on the property or
They don't,
traffic?
well, they're not, I can't say anybody's increasing them from what the norm was
Hmm.
prior to the whole
NAR,
lawsuit
yeah.
scenario. Uh, there's a few. I've been very lucky and blessed that I haven't run across anybody not wanting to pay the norm, what we were used to. And I try my very best to tell my listing person that, because I have had this happen. When we had one that they weren't going to pay the full commission, I had somebody say, "Oh, well, then I'm not going to show it." So, and I tell them that story because it's the truth.
Right.
And so I haven't had anybody be too difficult about it, and I haven't heard from other realtors if they've experienced it either. But they always ask now, which they never asked before because we can't put it in MLS anymore. So they have to ask now.
Yeah, I think the only people that made out in that was the attorneys.
Yeah, and I hear there's another lawsuit in there for something else, and I'm thinking, you know, I don't
Yeah.
care what they do in Missouri.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be telling me what I should do here.
That's exactly right. Keep your ifs and buts up there. It's why you're
Yeah,
in misery,
exactly.
not
Suing somebody in Missouri is not my problem, but
no. Yeah.
they made it so difficult for us now that it's
Hmm.
all this crazy paperwork and explaining it to them. And it's amazing how many people you work with that really don't. They may have only bought one house, or this is their first house, and it's such an educational process. And somebody somewhere, somebody's cousin or somebody's friend has told them, "Oh no, we can get you in there." And they, you know, experience is really valuable.
Amen to that. How is that was maybe my next question to ask you. How is some of the different AI tools and strategies? How is that affecting your business? Do you see
Well,
it?
it probably is affecting my business. Unfortunately, I'm not savvy on it yet. And I keep telling my daughter, please come or my granddaughter, I'm gonna get her. I guess she's closer than my daughter, but I said I'm gonna need some assistance. I've gone to a couple of classes, but it's not sinking in because there's so many people and they're using words and language I don't understand.
Hmm.
So I'm just sticking with what the tried and true at this point. My broker's helping us a bit, on it. And but when it's a small company like we are, we don't have all the big back, back office stuff and all that like other ones do. But I prefer the personal touch of it.
Well, I think that's still the way to sell real, especially in a market like it is going on. You've got to
Yeah,
understand it. When it's a different market, maybe like we've seen in the past, it can be a little bit more automated. But with you really what's going on right now, it's really you are really like the archaeologist, uncovering those great gems and deals for folks and really kind of holding their hand in a lot of cases. But if you're like you said, you don't do a lot of first time home buyers. That's an education process. You're teaching real estate more than
yeah.
helping them buy it in a lot of cases.
Yeah, but I like that. I like that. But I did sell one for a couple that it was the house they had bought years ago. They had their family there, but it was a very emotional property because one of their children had passed, and so it was
Mhm.
really hard to let go of it. And but they literally had never gone through a process of financing and all that stuff. And the other agent was much younger than me, but he was spot on and really easy to work with. And he provided information and they didn't even know, it worked out to be great. And they're very happy and with the scenario, but they were just, I had to lead them along, even though they had bought the house, they had paid cash and didn't have any paperwork. And they were in shock as to how much it had changed since they had bought that house. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's different. It's very different, but I don't
Yeah,
mind it.
yeah, it's so true. I think lending has seen more of an advance in the AI side of automated underwriting, a lot of stuff
Yeah,
faster than realtors have for sure.
yeah. I see some. I get sent some of them, but I don't. I like just the old fashioned way because I want my clients to know I'm sending this to you because this is what you've asked me for, and I don't want them to have some generated something and call me and say I got your. And I'm thinking I don't know which one it was because if you get into that and they automatically send stuff, I can't keep up with all that. I'm a
Yeah.
one on one.
Well, sometimes those automated alerts are way more alerts than they're actually, or more automated than they need to be alerted for a lot of
Well,
cases.
it's like I don't even hardly read anything on my phone anymore because I don't know who sent it or what is, where it's going to really go if I say yes on it.
Right?
So,
Right. These automated things and DocuSign stuff like that for
yeah,
sure.
I'm very blessed. So I get a lot of
Yeah.
referrals and that's really a very
That
good
speaks
compliment.
volumes. It
Yeah.
speaks volumes in today's chaotic world. And that's where I wanted to lead us to next. What's the best way for those that are watching this or listening to this to reach out to you? Say, hey, I need a realtor who knows the market and who isn't going to just text message me, but he's actually going to help me. What's the best way for folks out there to reach out to you, Belinda, to take you on?
I'm a really good text reader. I read all my texts that I get. I get a lot of them that I don't answer because I don't know who they are, but I prefer email or text or you can call me. I may not answer and my voice message gets full pretty quickly, but don't give up because I try to clear it out, but we
Mhm.
get so many messages from doctors that I have
Sure.
to go through and clean them out. But no, just reach out to me anytime and I'm available to help in any way. I had an agent going to show my property yesterday and unfortunately he called me the day before the showing and he says I can't show my clients, my mother passed away last night. And I said, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And I said, if I can do anything for you, let me know. And I said, if you want me to show them the property for you, I will. And he said, really, you would do that? And I said, Absolutely. I said, I would love to. I said, because you don't know what your life's going to be like in the next week or two. And I said, I'd be happy to. And I showed them the property and they were a nice, very young couple. And we had a very pleasant conversation, but I didn't pry into any of their business
Yeah.
because they have an agent,
Right.
and I have that loyalty and that's not necessarily the case with anybody else. It's just
Well,
people are out there for the whatever they can get, but I try to be fair.
Well, you're not just fair, you believe in the golden rule and treat people like you want to be treated, and that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
That's why you're
Absolutely.
still around after starting at the age of 5. Uh,
Yes.
so,
Yes. Tell my son, my 47-year-old son, when I was pregnant with him is when I got my license. So there you go.
well, the we'll just say it on here. We'll put the your email and phone number for folks to text and call you, but it's emails B Baldwin at Texas Realty 4. That's the number 4u.com.
Just the
Text
letter U.
Yeah, just the letter U. Thank you. Yeah, B Baldwin at Texas Realty 4U. That's number 4 and the letter U, not YOU.com. Well, like I said, we'll put it in the description so you can click on it. And our
Thank
phone
you.
number is there for you guys to text info. We'll put it out there as well for you. But Belinda,
Thank
thank you
you.
for taking time. I know you've been busy. Give Dickie a big hug from us. Steph says hello as well. And we look forward to catching up with you guys sometime soon.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I enjoyed it very much. Thank you for the business.
Yes, ma'am, no problem. And I highly recommend, guys and gals, if you're local, if you're looking to move to the Houston area, reach out to Belinda. She's amazing at what she does. Yes, she's got a plethora of amazing vendors. I still say Rolodex, because I used to have one
I
back in the
did.
day, right? But a list of amazing people that can help you out. Whether you're buying, selling, flipping, investing, or building, she is the number one realtor for you to reach out to. So once again, guys and gals, go out, take some action. And that's how you learn how to invest in Texas real estate. We'll see you guys at the top, everybody. Bye.
That's right.